Hello, everyone. This is Mike
And
and
Rainbow.
And we are here today to talk about the macabre of the paranormal. Okay, I didn't know if there's supposed to be a "the" in there, so that's what I was
We
looking
just
for your
came up
help.
with it just before we did this video.
Yeah.
So he doesn't remember the title.
Yeah, yeah. And the rest of the title, it's really macabre of the paranormal, risk and reward. Okay, so that's what
The risk and the rewards.
we're gonna talk about that. So when I first met Rainbow, or a little bit after meeting her, she told me about a really fascinating story, something that had happened to her and her daughter also.
No, it happened
witnessed.
when we called you.
Oh, okay. Rainbow called me, and then this.
You want me to tell the story?
Then this event. No, wait a minute. And then this event happened, and it's really interesting.
I didn't tell him about it. He was a part of it.
And I would guess I was a part of it too. Wow. Okay. Well, I hope I'm telling the right story here, or you're going to tell the right story. Okay. Anyways, well, here you go, Rainbow. It's all yours. Risk and reward.
So this is so funny because Michael's, just so you all know, that Michael likes to have all the videos like down and have everything, the research and everything.
Organized.
Yeah, and I have mine organized, but it's not like his. And so when we do it together, we kind of have to combine the two, and it's crazy before we get on video with you guys. So it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
Yeah. Go Rainbow. Go.
so after I'd met Michael, and we had actually decided that we were going to start dating and stuff, he was actually traveling every week with his job. He is still a logistics expert. So when he was off doing his thing, I would be doing I was a dance instructor, so I would be working with my students and stuff. And I had my daughter was just finishing high school, and she and I had something very strange happen to us. We were on the west side of Albuquerque. We went into a McDonald's, and a very strange not young, but older, short man came in. And just so you guys know, my daughter knows nothing about really aliens. She's just not into it. She doesn't really care to talk about it. But when this guy came into the McDonald's, and the McDonald's had a really weird energy to it also. But we both got the feeling and that he wasn't human. And she even told me, she said, "Mom, that guy's very strange. I don't think he's human." And I'm like, I said, "I think he's a gray." Just kind of in his human, kind of looking, what would we call that? Not they can just change from one to the other like the reptilians can. Right. So anyways, from that, yeah, but it was just like, he turned and looked at us, and he sat down and is staring at us, and it was just like, he was smiling, and it was almost like he knew what he was doing. And so what was really weird is we just went in for tea, and after him doing that for about 5 minutes, it was quite a while, we left because it was just, she didn't like the McDonald's, she didn't like the guy, I didn't like him either. And so then we got into the car, and we're going back to our house, and I got high in the car, and all I had was tea. She had tea, but I all of a sudden just felt like I had just taken something that just made me really high. And I know some people can say it was the tea, but this was a different kind of high. It was like something had taken over a little bit and was telling me, and I actually saw in my mind's eye this man, this very strange man with red hair that was strange cut, and he had an overcoat on, and he said, "Drive to me on the west side." And I told my daughter, and it was like I got overcome with this desire to go. And she's like, "Mom, I don't think that we should go." And I said, "Well, you're right. I would not take you. I'm going to drop you off at the house, and I'm going to go." And she's like, "Don't go, Mom." And it was just like, not me. I'm a responsible mother. I would never do that. but I got overtaken with something, like this really strange desire to go do what this person said. And in my mind's eye, I saw how he looked. And what was really interesting is my daughter got the same image, and she let me know that she thought she saw him. And she said, but it's weird, Mom. I'm not seeing him, but I can see him in my mind. And so she got scared and she called Michael. And Michael's like, Rainbow, I really don't think you should go. And I'm like, but I think I should. He's talking me out of it. He goes, do this. He said, go home and you draw who you see in another room, and have Savannah go into another room and draw what she saw.
Right.
And so he just do that first for me. He said to
this
call.
This was for a distraction.
Yeah,
it was to
totally,
stop, kind of stop that.
Yeah.
Whatever was happening for at least a little bit.
Yes.
That was a distraction.
Yes,
Sure.
and so we did that. We went home. I drew my pictures. She drew hers, and it was the same guy. And I think that scared her more than anything. And then she took pictures of her drawing and mine, and Michael was shocked, and he said, well, that's not good. So he said, and when I was home and after I drew it, the feeling of needing to go had waned, and I didn't go. But what was really interesting was that I've never felt this. It was like a very strange, lustful kind of draw, like, like charismatic, and you need to come to me because I'm this amazing whatever. And Savannah obviously didn't get that. It was just me. But after I was home and after I drew the picture, it was all said and done. I didn't feel the need to go, and she was so distressed over it that she didn't like it, so that she actually tore up the pictures and threw them away. And I wanted her to save them for Michael.
Yeah, but you sent them to me on the phone.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah,
she
I don't
took
know if we
pictures
still
of
have
them.
though.
I don't think you do, but I wanted to keep them because I wanted part of our research. But she wanted nothing to do with them, and she was so freaked out. So when you're an empath and you can kind of see stuff and you have these experiences, I think that any different types of alien groups or any different types of beings who know that you're empathic and open, and I think there was a connection to that guy that was in the McDonald's to this other being that was talking to her and me. I think that they know, and we're the kind of people that they kind of want to interact with. It's just that we have to be very careful, because part of the macabre of the paranormal is that once you're open to it and you beckon it, and you're saying, okay, I'm a researcher, I want to feel and see and do all this stuff, it answers you immediately. And that was just one of the experiences that we had. And the affirmation of the drawings was very interesting to me, because he was an oddball guy. The coloring of his skin, his hair, it was very interesting. And his eyes were dark. Almost there was no whites in the eyes. And she saw that. I saw that. And that can happen to you sometimes.
Right. So the reward is the ability to have and able to take in and realize and see the paranormal, right?
Well, the reward is discernment.
Right. But
Yeah.
but then the risk is, of course, all this other stuff that can happen along with it, that maybe you cannot defend yourself against.
Yeah, if I didn't have
this
Savannah
time,
in the car with me.
well, what about
calling
me telling you to
Yeah.
go in the other
But
room?
if she
and throw?
didn't, but if she wouldn't have called you,
I know.
you know
You're
that
right, you're right.
I wouldn't be talking with you
Right.
guys today.
That's
Who
right.
knows?
That's right. Who knows? Okay.
What about your story?
I'm gonna tell it. So, anyways, lived in Atlanta for many years, probably 18 years or so, and there was a group in Atlanta that I would go to. It was a UFO kind of group and paranormal type of group, very similar to the one that I had in New Mexico. So anyways, I would go to the group, and the leader of the group was a good friend, became a good friend of mine, and she, we would have lunch together, etc. And I would, this one time, I just wanted to tell you this one time, because she again, we'll talk about the award, is she would reward, she would she was out there in the world, and she enjoyed the paranormal. She enjoyed UFOs and aliens and all that stuff.
People.
Yeah, and you meet amazing people. So that was kind of her reward. But sometimes, in her case, she had gotten kind of deep into it. Okay, she had gone to some places maybe she shouldn't, done things she shouldn't have. So at times, she would have these, and she had one of these moments. I always remember we went to a really nice restaurant in Atlanta, and so we're sitting here talking, and suddenly she just goes off into this another realm right in the middle of this fancy restaurant with all kinds of people around us. And she just like goes off into this thing, and she's like staring out in the thing, and she's talking kind of to the wall or somewhere else, but not to me. But people are starting to look at her, and it was really strange. She was talking about these ancient kind of buildings she was looking at, and there was lions on the buildings, and they were actually coming to life, and they were walking down towards her.
And she's not on medication or anything like that.
No.
People might ask that. Was she drinking on medication?
No. She wasn't even drinking. I think we just basically got there. I'm not saying she didn't have a wine later. I think she probably had a couple, but this was after this experience. But no, she was not on any kind of drugs. I had known her for quite a while at this point in time. So anyways, that was the risk. The risk was if you're somewhere and suddenly you have basically one of these moments that you're having an experience, a daytime type of altered experience that you can have. It was really kind of, I don't want to say overly embarrassing to me. For her, it maybe wasn't, but she didn't remember it. That's the other thing. Is when I kind of took her up, I excused ourselves. We left. I don't remember if we ordered food, but it didn't make no difference. We left. We never ate, actually. And she didn't remember any of it.
And you had her ground her feet.
Yeah. Well, that was one of the things. We went outside, and I told her, listen, take your shoes off. Of course, in Atlanta, the weather's pretty nice all around. I don't remember what time of year it was, but I said, we went kind of around the corner. They had some tables out there. And there was actually one, I actually moved the chair over into the ground, the earth. And I said, take your shoes off, ground yourself, skin to the ground. And that brought her out of it. But then I had to explain to her the whole, what the heck happened. She's pretty embarrassed because the interesting thing, she frequented that restaurant before. So I don't know if she ever went back again because it was pretty crazy, to be honest with you. So anyways, again, there was the risk and the reward in the world of the paranormal. So.
Yeah, if you're an empath, the reward is obviously being able to see amazing things. If you can get affirmation, that's great. But the risk is anything can happen at any time.
Sure.
There's no there's no advance notice if you're going to have an episode or an experience. So you have to just be prepared for it.
Right. So let's talk for a minute about another thing, and this is Sasquatch, the risk and reward of going out and kind of being a researcher. Now, there's different types of researchers, of course, but some of the researchers really put a higher risk on it because the way they approach the subject matter. So
well, you can't. The one thing that I don't do, I don't listen to scary stories about Sasquatch and Dogman, not because I don't want to know, because I believe me, we talk to enough people who've had very scary experiences. But you can't listen to scary stories and go out and do research on Sasquatch or any other cryptid and expect to get evidence or confirmation from a being that we know is intelligent, is not a dumb ape. He and she is very intelligent, much more so than us, and they know psychically where our minds are at and where we are at. And if you're packing and you have a gun with you, or your fight and flight mode is more to fight, they're not going to come out and they're not going to communicate with you. You cannot watch scary stuff and then expect to have the paranormal greet you or anything in the paranormal to even address you in a positive manner if you're always watching something scary. Now, I watch scary stuff on YouTube. I'm not watching it for the scare factor. I'm watching it to see what people are actually doing right now when it comes to hauntings, because That's what I used to do. I used to do cleansings. So to me, you don't watch a lot of stuff that's really scary and then expect to have a positive outcome on something. It just doesn't work, because as we found out with Sasquatch, is you have to communicate with them and let them know that you're open for communication and a relationship, but they're not going to communicate with you. And sometimes they're extremely shy, because just imagine all the researchers out there who do have guns, and all the researchers out there who think they're very dangerous. And so I think humans are much more dangerous than Sasquatch. And I'm not saying that there's not rogue Sasquatch out there. We've talked about that. Just like but there's people who are rogue all the time.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I'm more scared to be. In fact, Michael and I had an experience once when we were on the Sasquatch Trail, where we had a guy following us, and Michael knew it. And he said, "Rainbow, look, this is what we're going to do." He goes, "We're going to get back to our car really quickly." And he said, "I want you to get to the side door." And he said, "I want the doors open." And then he said, "What I want you to do is just stand there and turn towards me." And when the guy came around, he saw that we saw him. And Michael made a comment about these knives that we carry with us, and it's not for Sasquatch, it's for humans. We've made that very clear to Sasquatch. And the guy saw that we had our Bowie knives, and so he hooked it away.
Right, exactly.
So you have to just use critical thinking in order to understand where you are at the moment. And I know that probably there's researchers who are going to rip me a new one on this one. But I don't care. I just think that you're never going to see a Sasquatch if you don't look at this field as looking at somebody who is a sentient being. I just don't believe you're going to get that confirmation. And if you get anything, and if you piss them off just like humans, you're going to get a reaction out of that. And it's just my feelings. How about you?
Yeah. Anyways, I think the thing with Sasquatch is...
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm looking.
I think the thing with Sasquatch is that we go out there and we get out in the woods, and we're out there looking in the woods. I think one of the biggest dangers is sometimes we just, don't keep our minds in a clear place, because like Rainbow says, they can psychically tell what's in your mind, if you have good thoughts or bad thoughts, etc.
And if you're afraid too.
If you're afraid, the risk always is this: you go out there and you're going to hang out with a Sasquatch. I think that's very safe, and it's a very good place to be. But we have to tell you, there is the risk of going out in the woods in the same areas. You never know what else is out there.
I can't even talk. There's other entities out there, and I've even talked about them because I've seen them.
Right.
And we even have a few of them that have come into our yard.
Right.
Because they're attracted from us going out on our hikes, and they've followed us home. And that's the risk that you take, is because they don't just stay out in the forest. And people don't understand that.
Right.
And so Michael wants this to be a part 2. So
yeah, we're going to go ahead and take a break right here, and then we're going to make it into a part 2 of one. This will be 2 of 2. The next one we'll have right behind it. So, anyways, with that said, we will see you next time. And don't forget, if you have any comments, any questions, you can email us privately at dimensionalwalking@gmail.com. If you like us, please like us.
Yes.
And if you have any comments, you can leave comments here. And that's
nice comments.
No, you can leave any kind of comments.
Comments.
We'll deal with them. Okay.
Nice.
Okay. Anyways, that's it for now. We'll see you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.